Hi, this is Charlie Hutto,
And I'm Megan Ritzy.
and this is going to be the 4th episode of And Here's Why. And today we will be discussing two things. Specifically, we're going to be talking about feminism. Now, feminism can be a scary word in our society, but we're going to hopefully dissuade any fear that comes along with that. The next thing we're going to talk about after that is we're going to talk about gendered language, and if you don't know what that is, we'll explain it in a minute. So, the first topic, feminism. Now, this has a lot of negative connotation in our society, and it's seen as something to be feared, wouldn't you say?
Yes, it's typically extreme.
Extreme, that's a great way to put it. Most people see it as something, burn the bras, and women should be at power over men, and they should be at all the political positions. And I think a lot of it stems from the misunderstanding of what feminism is and the feminist movement. So feminism is just the supporting of females to have equal rights to men and equal opportunities to men. And a lot of people will just negate that from their definition. And I don't know about you and your personal adventures, but in my life I've seen, when I just tell people that I'm a feminist, I find as much backlash from females as I do males. Especially when I tell them, like, no, I'm a feminist, and they'll be like, females just as often as men will be like, that's so stupid. They think feminism's it's corrupt. It's corrupt.
Well, I don't want to name names or anything, but those are the girls that are typically they want to use those roles that come with it, like being in the kitchen.
They interpret it as beneficial.
Yeah.
Because they don't have to be actual members of society.
Yeah.
At some point, being an object was actually easier than being an individual. Mm-hmm. I can totally see that. And if you're talking about naming names, possible. That's our school. Anyway. So, the feminist movement came out of a time, and we had a philosophy club meeting about this just a few weeks ago. And one of the things that was brought up was like, well, feminism at the time, when it first started, was necessary, but now it's gone off the deep end. Remember?
Yeah.
When that was described? So let me explain. Feminism has not gone off the deep end, and don't get me wrong, there are people who are hyper-feminists, which I would argue are not actually feminists at all, because they're supporting that women are better than men. That's not feminism at all. But anyway, he was saying they've gone off the deep end because, at the beginning they needed rights and everything, but now they're equal. First of all, that's not true. They are not equal. They're not equal in our society at all. No equal opportunities, hardly. They make about 76 cents per every dollar a man makes, and don't tell me that, oh, look, the new federal law got passed that makes it to where everyone gets paid the same based on gender. That's not true. That is true in the federal government, but that has nothing to do with the private sector. The private sector employs far more people than the federal government could. Okay. Now, back to the main point. Feminism only appears to have gone off the deep end because certain rights that they were fighting for, they have successfully won. And so now, when a modern feminist isn't going to be like, well, I'm a feminist, I support the right for women to vote. It's like, well, they already have the vote. So now, it's marginally gotten better, so they just need to close the gap completely. There's still a gap. Would you agree?
Yes. It's not big.
It's not as big as, in the 20s or something, of course. So another thing that factors into that is the gendered language in our society, and that's propagated everywhere. The proliferation of it is something that proliferation. But if to viewers at home, you could collect the And Here's Why dictionary, now available on Amazon.com. No, so another thing about gendered language. That's something that instead of using neutral pronouns or words that could be gender neutral, we have a tendency as a society, and all languages do this, to put a term based on what it is. For example, can you think of anything where this is very common?
English class.
Like theme statements?
Yeah. Like when mankind encounters adversity, they tend towards
he.
Or yeah, he.
Yeah.
He tends towards.
Yeah, when there's generally absolutes are seen that way, and I think we might be running short on time, but basically, so the absolutes are seen as male because that's the default. It's default to think of a human being as a male. Right. So
mankind instead of humankind.
Yeah. Well, human. I mean, yeah. No, human. Human's different because it's
Homo sapiens.
Because woman. It's part of Homo sapiens. Yes. So that being said, another thing is referring to certain things as female. Like, people refer to some things as
Well,
she.
yeah, guys in their cars.
The cars, exactly. That's a great example because a car is something, I just picture a bunch of guys standing around like, hey man, she's a beaut. Look at, she's so fine. What it is, it's like an extension of their possessions like they would do with their wife. Guys still do this with their wives, by the way. And their girlfriends, like, oh man, I got a hot one. Oh yeah, she's great. But, and not that some of the girls, never mind. They appreciate, some of the girls actually want that. That's definitely true. Like I think in my social media rant, I actually talk about the top 10 butts thing that this girl retweeted or something, reposted on one of those Ask websites. And it was like the top 10 butts at Boswell, and you would have to watch that video. It's way back there in the feed somewhere. And so with the cars and boats, it's like, oh, that's an object. I have to protect it, I have to take care of it. Mm-hmm. So that's why it becomes she. It's part of the manifestation of it. Also, on that same vein, you have he in God. You calling God a he, which is anthropomorphization, and that's giving human characteristics to a divine being. And I don't want to go too far into that because there's so much material there. But basically, we think of God, we say he, and when you get down to brass tacks, there's a lot of reasons why that breaks down, and that doesn't make any sense. And it's just because the males have had almost exclusively the control in the society, the powerful.
Large muscular man with a beard is what. That's
exactly. Mm-hmm. Bo Burnham knows all the stuff. So that's, I think we've gotten most of what we wanted to talk about covered. Basically, feminism is not corrupt. It's still necessary. It's not evil. The people who are against it, generally the ones who are benefiting from a sexist society. Gendered language, there's not something that we can really fix necessarily. It's generally, you should probably in academic speech refer to gender neutral things.
Well, what we brought up in philosophy club is that with time that it might fade.
Right. Language just takes a long time to change, a lot longer than social stuff. And don't get me wrong, English is much better about this than, for example, other languages. Like the other languages I know, like Spanish and German, are both much worse about the grouping people, and just naturally, since it's a group of people, you have ella and then el, and then it's a group of them, and if it's all girls, it's ellas, but one guy in there, it's ellos, which is the male one, because it overrides everything. That's funny, but it's terrible. It'll eventually change, hopefully. So basically, gendered language, bad. Feminism, good. I think that's... Is there anything else you wanted to talk about?
No.
You're so much.
Okay.
You're so much better than my other.
The binary.
Yeah, that'll do that video.
Yeah.
You're so much better than my other guest star, Kendall Lara. Do you know him?
Yes, I know him.
He can't take anything seriously. It's somewhat difficult. Okay. I think that's it. Okay. Thanks for watching.